Hey guys, I'm Sarah Beth and welcome back to my channel. So I'm back and I want to tell you guys my birth story. If you're not interested, you don't have to watch this video. I've got plenty of yoga videos coming up as well, but I wanted to make this video while it's still fresh. Before I go any further, I just want to say that any woman's birth, no matter what is involved, if it's cesarean or vaginal, medicated or unmedicated, or anything in between, is still a very intense, raw, and personal experience. So I have respect for every woman who gives birth in any way. This is my experience. So our son, Roman, came 3 weeks early, and it's weird because it was like my husband was expecting it so much that he was kind of freaking my doula out. He kept saying that our son's gonna show up early, he's gonna show up at 37 weeks, especially because our birthing center had a rule that I could be there between 37 weeks and 41 weeks and 6 days. Anything outside of that, we'd have to go to a hospital and get transferred. David kept saying, Roman's gonna show up early, he's gonna show up early, and I kept saying, Roman, just wait till 37 weeks. Please wait till 37 weeks, and then you can show up anytime you want and we'll be ready for you. And the day that I hit 37 weeks, I go into false labor. And I was like, wow, this kid is prompt. I had false labor for 6 hours, and basically it felt like Braxton Hicks happening every like 4 to 6 minutes for 6 hours straight. Braxton Hicks is like that tightening feeling of your uterus where everything gets kind of rock hard, a little bit uncomfortable, and then it releases. And I'm talking to the midwives, and they said, if it goes away in a couple hours, it's false labor. If it continues, then come in and we'll see what we can do. Well, it went away. 2 days later, on Saturday, which is 37 weeks and 2 days, I started getting the same feeling. And actually, this Saturday day, I woke up early, felt great. I went to Aqua Fitness because that was really the only way that I was able to stay active at the end of my pregnancy, because I was experiencing so much SPD, which is basically like my pelvis felt so gummy, just like it wasn't being held together very well, and it was really sore. So Aqua Fitness was my way to stay active. And then I went from Aqua Fitness to an acupuncture appointment, and then I got a chiropractic adjustment. I went home and took a really nice long nap, and then I woke up with the same false labor feeling. So I went and lay down on the couch, and then I remembered that something about if you take a bath, that it might make the contractions go away. And if they go away, then it's false labor, you're good to go. So I'm running a bath, and then my water breaks. And I didn't actually know that my water broke. It wasn't like a psh, you know, like you see in the movies. It was just trickling down my legs. This is Saturday at like 5 in the evening. I turned on my Hypnobirthing Cds because I was doing hypnobirthing at the time. That was how we were planning on getting through everything as naturally as we could. And I used those CDs to help me relax in the bath. And I called my husband, and he rushed home. He went and bought a bunch of Gatorade on the way home and some steak, both recommendations from my doula. I was having very inconsistent contractions, so nothing was really happening except for the fact that I'm contracting, and it's very inconsistent between a minute and a half apart and 15 minutes apart. Both the doula and the midwife were trying to tell me to get to bed, get as much sleep as I possibly can. And I laid awake until maybe 2 in the morning. And then the doula came over. She helped me relax, she massaged my back, she gave my husband some things to do, some tools. I think I got maybe 2 hours of sleep between 4 and 6 a.m. But though that sleep was really broken up because every 10 minutes I'm contracting, and every time I'd contract, I'd wake up and I'd like moan for my husband to rub my back. And so he's waking up every 10 minutes with this like a horrible alarm of his wife like groaning. Then at 6 we called the midwives, and they said, all right, if this is still happening by noon, we want you to come in and we'll figure out our options for inducing you and getting you further along. My doula came over in the morning, and she sent my husband and me out for a walk and gave me specific exercises to do during the walk, like these sumo walks where I have to walk with my legs really wide and kind of slam down on each leg. While we were doing that, she was in my apartment. She made my bed. She started making me tea and food and set me up with snacks. She set up a pillow nest. So when I came back, we were all good to go for me to just relax, get on the ground in my pillow nest and start laboring there. Definitely recommend having a doula, by the way. Noon or 1 o'clock hits, and still very inconsistent contractions. It's very frustrating because we're all so tired and exhausted, and things are just not progressing. So we went into the birthing center for an appointment to talk about natural inductions. They gave me a couple of options. One of them was it's like a cervical balloon where they insert this like little balloon into your cervix and they fill it up and expand it and try to get your cervix to open. Another one was castor oil. I've heard enough about that. No thank you. Especially with ulcerative colitis. No thanks. And then the other option was cotton root extract. And I said, okay, let's try that. This cotton root extract is a tincture that I was supposed to take a dosage of it every 15 minutes for an hour and relax. And then hopefully that would get my contractions to like up the ante and become more consistent. Once we got home, I labored a little bit more with the help of my doula and my husband. She did something called Shake the Tree, where she had me get into basically a dolphin dog off of the couch on the ground on my forearms. My butt is like straight up in the air, and she like punched my butt and then like wiggled it around a lot, and it's supposed to help with the baby positioning. I think that helped a lot, and I think that the tincture helped a lot, because after the hour of taking that tincture, everything just went to a whole different level. I mean, the intensity went to a whole different level. The contractions were definitely like every, I don't know, maybe even 2 minutes apart. Like it just went from inconsistent to like consistent. We gotta go now. So I'm in the car, my husband's driving, the doula's following us to the birthing center. She's on speakerphone and I am emotional in the car. Like it was weird. I knew that it was weird and that I was just being emotional, but I was like, this must be the hormones and transition, because I'm feeling hot and flushed. I'm feeling emotional. I want to cry and I don't know why. And I'm trying to get through these contractions. And the only way I could get through them at that moment was with raspberries, like horse breath, like, or just vocalizing while I'm exhaling, which is not what I had learned in hypnobirthing. It was a tool that my doula had given me, and it was something that really, really helped at the time. We get to the birthing center, I pummel out of the car and like race into my room, because I could feel at that point that the contractions were so strong that I couldn't stand. Like I was buckling over because I could feel the contractions going into my legs. Uh-oh, somebody's waking up. Yeah, so we get into the room and I thought that I was gonna be wearing a specific outfit, like a black shelf bra, a black like long tank top dress kind of thing for maybe some modesty. I don't know, because I had planned on having a birth photographer. Well, I got in the room and I was like, this is coming off, this is coming off, this is coming off. And then I felt so much better. They checked me once I got there, and this is like 6 p.m. on Sunday night. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. Someone's waking up. Hi. Yeah, we're talking about you. Talking about your birth. You want to hang out? Yeah? So they checked me when I got there at 6 p.m. This is after like 25 hours in labor. And I'm definitely in active labor at this point. Everybody thought that I was like very close to having my baby, just because of the way that I was vocalizing, the way that I was reacting, the way that the contractions were spaced apart and how intense they were. When they checked me, I was only 4 centimeters, and they didn't tell me that, but everybody else in the room knew that. They had like a little powwow, and they're kind of freaking. This is not normal. Mommy's not paying attention to you. I'm not used to filming with a baby, you guys. Obviously, Roman runs the schedule. He's the boss. Let's see how this goes. So everyone else is kind of nervous, and I am in labor land. Time didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered. I was doing what I needed to do to work with my body to get this baby out. I utilized the tub and the shower as much as I could. Just water sounded good. It sounded relaxing. After a little while, they called in an acupuncturist, and she came in and put needles in me while I was in the tub to help basically induce and get me to have more oxytocin in my system so that my cervix will open faster or just continue to open. I was totally relaxed during that hour through the contractions that she was putting the needles in me. I was like floating like a mermaid, and it was so nice. Things picked up even more at that point, and all of a sudden my contractions were in my hip flexors. It was like the most intense thing I've ever experienced. Sure, like things are worse, but in the moment that was like, oh my gosh, like how do you make this go away? This really sucks. I remember asking that too, and the midwives were like, have the baby. And I was like, ah. So funny. I was beating my legs. My doula was rubbing my legs. My husband was rubbing my back. There was like hands on. Everybody was helping. I had a couple moments where I was emotional, but still throughout the whole thing, I was vocalizing. I was breathing really deep. And that's where I think the hypnobirthing classes did come in handy, was having me practice the breathing techniques of hypnobirthing. I also played the CDs while I was there, like relaxation soundtracks to help me remember to relax my body, because with that intensity, I mean, I was having a really hard time getting my shoulders to relax and my neck to relax. Later on, my doula told me that she thought my contractions were out of this world insane, like lasting upwards of 4 minutes, and that I'd only have like a 15-second break in between. And it was really intense. My husband said that he got scared at one point, thinking that we were gonna have to transfer to the hospital. I never had those thoughts, but I definitely thought, this is so intense. This is so intense that I need to take all the strength I've ever had and ever used in all of my life, in all of the hardest moments of my life, and bring it all together right now and use it. And I did. When the hip flexor labor was happening, it was so intense that I thought, I will do anything right now to make this pain go away. And I knew that they had nitrous oxide there, and I asked for it. It was just enough to take off the edge. I mean, it didn't like take away the pain, but it definitely helped me relax a little bit more, and it helped me in between contractions, I think, the most. They checked me again. They said, you made great progress, you still have a little bit to go. In my head, I heard 8 centimeters. Later on, I find out that I was 8 centimeters. So while I'm on the bed, I switched from trying to relax through every contraction, which was what I had done for the previous, 29 hours at this point, to kind of working with them, gently bearing down almost. It was just this weird kind of instinctual thing that I followed and thought, my body wants to do this, let's do this. And it definitely feels better than trying to relax against this intense like bodily function right now. Eventually that turned into real pushing. I couldn't help it. My body is pushing, I am pushing. I probably pushed on the bed for an hour, and then I wanted to go back in the tub. So they brought me back to the tub. I could feel his head, which was crazy. It took another hour when I was in the tub to get him out, because it was one of those like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And at this point, I welcomed pushing. Pushing felt so much better than the active labor. That active labor in my hip flexors was like the craziest, most intense thing in the whole wide world. And I remember thinking to myself, I have a newfound respect for every single woman that's ever given birth. Finally, he's almost here, and one of the midwives gives me a rebozo, which is like a big sling, or like looks like a parachute almost. That's exactly what I needed. My husband's hands were right there, the midwife's hands were right there. Together, they caught Roman and brought him straight to my chest. And at that moment, everything stopped. Like all the labor sensations just came to an end. And I'm looking down at this baby on my chest, and he was covered in vernix. And I'm like, hi. It was like I'd woken up from a dream. Like the entire pregnancy and the labor and the birth was this dream, and now I have this baby in my arms, and I don't like, it was just crazy. I'm like in shock almost. We get out of the tub and we get to the bed, and it was just really nice to be able to lay there and like it's all over. He was born at 12:12 a.m. on Monday. It was just one of those things where the time had passed and I was in labor land the whole time. I did not tear, and I had a pretty good recovery, but I'll talk about like the postpartum experience in another video. In hindsight, I would definitely hire a doula again. I would actually hire the same doula, because she and I have this bond on a whole new level because of that experience. I would definitely have her come back. I would have my birth photographer do my next birth as well. It was such a blur to me that being able to see the photos that she provided was, it was so nice. I got to relive everything, and the photos were beautiful, professional. I mean, there's some like that I will share with the public, but a lot of them are for me. I would definitely go back to the birthing center. The birthing center and the midwives there were wonderful. I had a really great birthing experience, and I think part of that is due to them and their support and the environment that I was in. So that's it for this video. If you made it this far, click the like button, let me know. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.